TNT Sports is live at the Lowe's Motor Speedway for race number 29 of the NASCAR Busch Series season. Today, the teams of the NASCAR Busch Series have a chance to show off in front of the stars of the Winston Cup Series and all of their friends and family as they take the green flag in Charlotte. Hello, everyone. I'm Bill Weber. Today, we're about 12 miles from downtown Charlotte in Concord, North Carolina. Welcome to the Lowe's Motor Speedway. Today, this race is front-loaded with stars from the Winston Cup Series, while the two primary challengers for the Busch Series championship start side by side, way back in row 13. We start with number 1. Here's Dave Burns.
Well, Michael Waltrip has 2 NASCAR Busch Series wins here at the Lowe's Motor Speedway, but not since '99 and never in his favorite number 99. And this is the first time you've been on the pole since '89. Can you win today?
89. Since 89, wow.
For the pole.
That might be the longest stretch between a pole winner first, next to last here at Charlotte. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. Was that a hard lap to get?
Man, our car handled perfect. I was so proud of the lap. I didn't think it would hold up because guys had run a little bit quicker than that in practice, but the Aaron's Dream Machine drove perfectly. I did everything I wanted to do and got all there was to have, and a couple of them got really close, but we were able to keep the pole, so I'm real proud to start up front. Last time Burton and I started on the front row, I wrecked and he won, so I got to keep that in mind. We can't do that today, but I'm very optimistic about our chances to win.
You had a short practice session yesterday afternoon for final practice. How good is the car in race trim?
It was really good. Richie Gilmore and DEI built the engines for our cars, and ever since they've gotten involved in that endeavor with us, things have really picked up for our team. They've won the last 3 poles they've tried to qualify for. I won at Kansas and here, and Dale Jr. won at Richmond, so they're obviously right on top of things, and that horsepower will be a real friend today in this hot, slick track weather that we're having.
Earlier this year, Michael won his 9th Busch Series race of his career at Michigan. He goes for number 10 today. To Matt Yoakum.
Dave, in the season's last 5 starts, Jeff Burton has really been on a roll. His average finish, 2nd. Your team is very optimistic and confident about today. What about you, Jeff?
Well, this little gang car has been really fast all year, so certainly we carry a certain amount of confidence into here, but this is a real tricky racetrack. It gets real slick. Michael will be up there running the high groove and trying to make that work, so it'll be neat to see what groove gets working, and I don't know, I feel good about it.
Now the track temperatures climb almost 20 degrees from the end of final practice in Winston Cup to now the start of the Busch Series race. Is today more about learning or more about fun for you?
Well, it's fun if we run well. No, it is about learning some. We certainly wouldn't run the Busch car if we didn't think it helped the Winston Cup car. But we also do it because it's fun. You know, it's fun to get a group of guys together and go try to do better than everybody else. I mean, that's the essence of what we do, and I still have that drive and want to be part of that. So we have a lot of fun doing it, and we think it helps our Cup program too.
Also earn some college tuition too. Jeff Burton starts on the outside of the front row. A win today will be a career mark. He's never won more than 4 races in a single season. He enters today with 4 wins. Marty?
Well, Matt, last year Greg Biffle won this race in this car, and while winning at Charlotte is very important today, the greater prize is the NASCAR Busch Series Championship. His lead in that car category, the biggest it's been all season, 127 over this man, Jason Keller. Is there a sense that time is running out and the championship may be slipping away from you, Jason?
Well, we've had some mechanical failures of late, and it's hurt us, but we can't worry about what Greg's doing. He's doing a great job, but Salverson's Ford's been running real good of late, so it's going to be a tough day here at Charlotte. Tell you what, Charlotte's always tough. The sun's out, it's going to be even tougher, but we'll just do our best, and you don't have to worry. We don't have a pie for you today. So
all right, I appreciate that.
We're going to have a good day.
But Alan has no idea what's coming later.
It was him, not me, I promise.
Okay, I believe you. And the one concern on this 57 car, they do have a backup engine in the car. They will have to go to the back of the field. Bill?
Thank you, Marty. Well, Jason Keller brought up the famous pie incident just a couple of weeks ago at Kansas when Marty was finished speaking to Jason Keller. He was delivered a gift, a setup, and you might say Marty took one right in the face. Okay. Now, when we come to these races, everybody wants a good seat. I've got a good seat here on the wagon. Wally Dallenbach had a great seat in our air-conditioned TNT booth, but Wally's pretty fussy. He always wants something better than what he's got. Well, he found a better seat. It's actually in the 13th starting spot of today's race, and Wally joins us. Wally, how are you?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great, man. It's sunny, about 82 degrees. How's that going to change the track from what you guys saw in your limited practice yesterday?
Well, we didn't run very long yesterday in happy hour because of that reason, Bill. This track is very sensitive to the temperature change. So we ran about the first 15-20 minutes when the track was hot, and then we put it away. So if we got the same car now that we had in happy hour, we're going to be pretty good. We're going to have a fun day today.
So you think the car is good?
The car was really good yesterday in happy hour, so hopefully if the track's not a whole lot hotter, and we'll see if we can work our way to the front, but I'm real happy with the car today.
Okay, Wally, got one more quick question for you. You got Winston Cup guys in here running for the win. The Busch guys are running for the points. What's going to be your mission in the second half of this race?
Well, I mean, we're going to run as hard as we can every lap and put ourselves in position, hopefully, for a top 5 finish or even a victory. So, you know, we're obviously going to have to probably make some adjustments on the car to get to halfway. And then hopefully we've made the right adjustments for the last, whatever it is, 20, 30, 40 lap shootout.
All right, thanks for your time. Best of luck today.
Thank you.
Okay, and he did all that without even mentioning a sponsor. Now, tomorrow it's 500 miles for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series and the UAW GM Quality 500. Our coverage begins with the Discover Card Countdown to Green at noon Eastern Time on NBC Sports. We'll find out how Tony Stewart plans to hang on to the lead in the race for the championship. Find out if Rusty Wallace can bounce back from that 25-point penalty following Talladega. BP's got the Golden Benny. Wally takes us for a ride around this track. And we'll explore why most of the new tracks on the NASCAR Winston Cup circuit have tried to copy this place without a lot of imagination or creativity. Again, it's the Discover Card Countdown to Green at noon Eastern Time tomorrow on NBC. If you miss the countdown, you start the race a lap down. Now here's a guy that's always on the lead lap. The question is, can anybody catch him?
Here they come again. Catch us if you can. Time to get a move on. We be down with all of our life. Catch us if you can. Catch us if you can. Catch us if you can.
Tomorrow, Tony Stewart has the best seat in the house on the pole. He also leads the championship standings for the first time in his career. He's got a pretty good seat today, too. So here's one guy that's always on the lead lap and two guys that occasionally look like they might have a tire going down. Alan, Tony, and Benny.
I think. Thank you, Bill. Benny was a little concerned during happy hour. It's hot out today. He was worried you weren't going to have a chance to take a shower before you came up here and joined us. But it's okay, right?
You didn't, Ryan.
I took a shower.
You did?
The shirt's sticking to my back. I forgot to dry my back.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
In here.
Glad to have you with us. Winston Cup guys have won these Busch Series races here at Charlotte BP 10 of the last 13 times. Going to see that again today?
Probably, because it's such a difficult racetrack that the driver has to move around to try to find the best place to get on the racetrack for speed in his car. And the guys with more experience obviously do it a little bit better. So therefore, the Winston Cup drivers. Now, the racetrack, has it changed dramatically from yesterday, Tony?
Actually, we didn't get a chance to run the Winston Cup Series. We were off yesterday, so today was the first time since Thursday evening that we had an opportunity to be on the racetrack. From the morning session, which was 45 minutes this morning, till this evening or this afternoon, we only had an hour break, but the surface changed quite a bit. That's just typical Charlotte. I mean, the racetrack always changes because of the heat, and it seems like everybody has to kind of wait for the first couple runs to get under their belt before they can really get a handle on their cars. But I think you'll see a lot of these guys, the Winston Cup guys in particular, they know exactly what the track conditions are right now, and they're going to be ready to go.
All right, will the Winston Cup drivers wind up in victory lane today? We'll see. Two of the Busch Series guys who have the best chance to challenge them today. How about Scott Riggs in the 10 and Jack Sprague in the 24? They're lined up in row 3, just behind all the big names on the starting grid. This is at Lowe's Motors Speedway Charlotte for the NASCAR Busch Series is set to run 300 miles. Right now it's time to go trackside for those 4 famous words.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, today's Grand Marshal from Ingalls Markets, Dan Spears.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
out onto the track shortly to start the Little Trees 300. When we come back, the starting lineup in green flag. Watching NASCAR on TNT. And the field about to roll off the pit lane for the parade and pace laps. Get a look at the starting lineup. Michael Waltrip on the pole, his second pole here at Charlotte. Second pole of 2002. Last year's pole winner, Jeff Burton, is alongside.
On the inside of row 2, Jimmy Spencer, who won in Bristol, and Joe Nemechek on the outside.
Scott Riggs, Jack Sprague in row number 3, the top 2 qualified Busch Series regulars.
3 Green brothers in today's race. Mark is the fastest one, and his brother Jeff on the outside.
Larry Foyt, best start here at Charlotte in his Busch Series career. He's in row 5 with Kevin LePage. 6th row, Mike McLaughlin driving for Joe Gibbs. And Hank Parker Jr. finished 7th in this race 1 year ago.
Back on the inside of row 7 is Wally Dallenbach in the Dodge. Let me try to talk to him. Hey, Wally BP, you got me?
Got your BP loud and clear.
Now, Wally, you know that we watch these starts and we criticize the drivers for lagging back. You got to get a good start or we're going to talk about you.
I ain't going to get a good start or they're going to flag us because they're coming down hard on everybody for that. Sounds like in a driver's meeting, so we'll be up there.
Wally, it's Tony. Hey, just remember, be careful coming down here on this front straightaway. You know how slick it is when you get in the gas here on the start. So be careful, and I'll try not to eat all your snacks today.
Okay, I appreciate it. Just leave me a few.
All right, pal. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, Wally going for his first Busch Series start here at Charlotte. He's made 16 Winston Cup tries here before. Farther on back through the starting lineup, while you look at the rest of the grid, let me tell you that a whopping 6 cars will be dropping to the back of the pack on these pace laps. Jason Keller is going to give up 26th starting spot. Bobby Hamilton Jr. going to give up 16th starting spot. Plus Ron Young from 40th and Randy LaJoie from 17th. All of those cars had to change engines. That's in violation of the 1 engine per weekend rule. They'll start at the back. And Mike Wallace, who is scheduled to start 29th, and Jerry Nadeau driving the 54 car this weekend, scheduled to start 18th. They missed the drivers' meeting.
And Jerry Nadeau, that 54 car, has a very good race car. There's a long list of drivers who failed to qualify for today's 300-mile event.
Long list. See some pretty good names in there, too. Justin Labonte missed the show by 55 1/1000ths of a second.
I remember the first time I went to Rockingham in the Busch Series, I missed the race. I was 37th with no provisionals and missed it by 5/1000ths of a second.
And you said, what am I doing here?
Greg Biffle, one of those we'll ride on board with today. Let's check out some final stories from pit road before we go green. Matt?
Alan, judging by Jeff Green's recent performance here at Charlotte with a win, a 10th and a win, you would think he and his team would be overly confident about their chances today. But it's just the exact opposite. Jeff has struggled all week, and yes, he qualified 8th, but it feels like his car has an aero in balance. It's just way too loose. New car blues, so crew chief Butch Hilton went over to the Winston Cup garage, talked to Jeff's Winston Cup crew chief Todd Barrier. It's a hodgepodge setup, part Cup, part Busch. He starts 8th, hoping to go to victory lane. Dave?
Hey, Matt, Jerry Nadeau has been fast in his Winston Cup car this weekend. He's been fast in his Busch Series car this weekend. He was very fast in happy hour yesterday. He's so far back, obviously, because of the motor problems, or because of missing the drivers' meeting, they go to the rear, but he was quick in happy hour as well. His qualifying lap just a little bit loose. And just for reference, Tony Lambert, the crew chief, and Jerry have worked together before, way back in the mid-90s, a race at Miami that they didn't make. They're already starting out better here this weekend. Marty?
Well, Dave, one of the big stories in the Busch Series this week was the fact that Ricky Hendrick at age 22 decided to retire. His injuries and lingering injuries from his crash at Las Vegas were just too severe to continue racing. There to seize the opportunity, former Busch Series champion David Green. And that's exactly what he told me it was this morning. It is an opportunity to prove he belongs back in this series. It's amazing a former champion has to reprove himself, but David says, that's how I feel. I feel like a rookie all over again. I have to show in the short time this season remains that I belong here in the Busch Series full time. Alan?
David Green set to go for Hendrick Motorsports. Big opportunity for him. Check some storylines we'll follow throughout today's 300-miler for you.
Can someone win from the top? Can they go to the top of the racetrack for that line there? Can they run fast enough to beat someone on the bottom? We'll be watching that because we know Michael Waltrip will be up there.
The championship, Greg Biffle, starting in the middle of the pack, but Jason Keller has to go to the back. Remember that Keller had the engine failure there last race at Kansas that cost him a great deal of ground.
and 10 drivers competing today that will be running the Winston Cup race tomorrow. Tony, will they learn anything today that will help them in their cars tomorrow?
May not be all setup-wise, but they will learn how the track conditions change the whole time.
I love it. Will Wally wimp out?
Oh, yes, no. Most likely.
Oh, okay.
No.
It's easy to say that right now because he can't hear me.
You got the microphone. It's your platform.
Yeah, this is the part I always like. I got to get the last word today.
Exactly. Wally going to start 13th today, and obviously we've got cameras all over his car. Remember, this is Tommy Baldwin Racing. The right now unemployed Winston Cup crew chief as far as Winston Cup is concerned. That sounds harsher than it is. He's working on getting this Busch team going.
That's right. It's Tommy Baldwin Racing.
Team owner, Tommy Baldwin.
Exactly.
That's better.
I don't think he'll be unemployed as a Winston Cup crew chief for long.
No.
He's got a lot of talent. Actually, when I made my first jump to Winston Cup before I actually started a Winston Cup career, I was still with Harry Ranier, and Tommy was the first Cup crew chief hired over there when we tested down in Atlanta. And trust me, Tommy's got a lot of talent. He had a lot faster race car than I was capable of driving at that point.
And he does have people knocking on his door. That fuel mileage window number you saw on the bottom of our race analysis, that could be a critical number. We've seen some of these things at Charlotte decided by fuel mileage in the past. Hot, slick racetrack, 80-some degree afternoon, good crowd on hand, and we're set for round 29 of the NASCAR Busch Series season. Michael Waltrip and Jeff Burton going to bring them down.
Tony, we've seen cars get loose on the start, seem to spin tires. Why is that?
I don't know. It just seems like this front straightaway, even though it's real flat, it just seems to have doesn't have a lot of grip. So when these cars accelerate, it's hard to get the power to the ground right away.
The middle, Ron Hornaday.
And should I say it? Wally got a terrible start.
Michael Waltrip leads. It's Jimmy Spencer inside of Jeff Burton for second. Steve Grissom's going to get the black flag. Passed before the start-finish line. He'll be coming to pit road for a stop-and-go penalty.
Baby, Spencer got crawling in loose, and when he chased it up the hill, where's the car there?
It looked just like his qualifying lap the other night in the Winston Cup Series. It's hard when you run too wide like that. Turns 1 and 2 are very, very fast. Once you get the car down to the bottom of the line, you get right back in the gas hard. But there's just enough bumps there that if you got a car to the right side of you, sometimes it will make you lose.
Just looking to see if Jeff Burton gave any kind of a signal when he went by or anything. The hands all stayed inside the windows.
He has to race with him all day today plus tomorrow, so you probably won't see too much from him.
Michael Waltrip leads. That little confrontation in turn 2 allowed Joe Nemechek to slip to second in the 87. Burton's working on him there, followed by Jimmy Spencer and Kevin LePage.
It's interesting already to see Jeff Burton. He's already running about a lane and a half off the bottom, which early in a run like this, you don't normally see somebody do that, but he's really making it work right now.
That is surprising to see Burton up there because normally he keeps his car right down next to the bottom. Looks like Tony Stewart. You've never run high in your life, have you?
Not on pavement. I always did on dirt. I never ran the bottom on dirt, but until recently. But it seems like the top here isn't always the fastest way. It seems like in 1 and 2, if you can keep it right, the left side's right on the line, and if you can see the cars that are driving good, the left sides are right on top of that line, right there, just right over the line. Those are cars that really handle well here.
Burton reclaiming second spot. Spencer to third. Nemechek back to fourth. Where's Wally?
There he is.
14th spot. He started 13th, so he's hanging right there.
Well, he's back to 13th now, so even Steven.
Next in front of him, Hank Parker Jr. in the 36. Larry Foyt in the 14. Here comes Parker Jr. to make a move on Foyt. By the way, Steve Grissom did come to pit road for his stop-and-go penalty. And while you watch the field steam into one, Brian Vickers has popped on to pit road, an unscheduled stop early for him.
Wally following Hank Parker Jr., 36, and Larry Ford, 14, trying to figure out which line is going to be the best. Who should he follow?
Easing into that gas. Well, those two cars kind of hung side by side for the minute.
You can tell while he's faster right now, the hard part is he just doesn't have anywhere to go. I mean, with cars too wide like that this early in the race, there's just no racing room for him to go anywhere else. He just has to be patient until they slow down.
And those two cars racing side by side had gotten all the cars behind them jammed up. And that's when accidents happen.
Greg Biffle, the championship leader, took the green flag for this race in 25th spot. He's really not moved forward, not moved backwards any. Trouble, turn 4.
Johnny Sauter in the 2 car, Randy LaJoy in 7.
And the caution flag's out.
Pit lane. Coming in, guys. You just hit the wall. Left rear.
Seven laps into the race. First caution flag is out. Randy LaJoy and Johnny Sauter involved up in turn 4.
on me there. Him on the outside. Must have took the wind off me.
Johnny Sauter talking about getting loose when Randy LaJoy, I guess, tried to go by him. It got loose, and LaJoy, some heavy damage to the back of that car.
So LaJoy's headed to the garage. Sauter getting repairs made on pit road. Under caution early. The NASCAR Busch Series race from Lowe's Motor Speedway in Charlotte. Tony Stewart will lead the field to the green flag. Martinsville, final short track race of the season. 1 week from Sunday, then Atlanta and Rockingham on TNT. NASCAR all the way through the season finale in Homestead, Florida on TNT and NBC. Under caution for the first time.
Going in turn 3, Randy LaJoy in the 7 car is trying to go on the outside of the 2. Johnny Sauter talked about the car getting loose, but I think he'd already made contact and tried to turn away from the 7 when he got loose, looks like, Tony.
Yeah, it's hard. You know, there's a lot of bumps really right down at the bottom of the racetrack there, and when you go in, if your car's a little bit loose or a little bit tight, it tends to want to walk the car up. Either, like I say, if it's tight, it'll move the nose up first, and then if you just clip a guy, it'll make, you know, both cars spin. So by the way it looked like they spun, it looked like there was just contact with the right front to the left rear, and whether he was a little bit tight first when he got up there, or if he was a little loose and then had to chase the nose of the car up from the in car, we'll probably get a better view here. You try to get down to that white line right there. You hear the contact. And after that, you're just holding on. And that crunching sound is not.
Come on around. You're all right. Just going down pit lane. Turn left. Go on down.
And the lights went out.
One coming. Hold on. Okay, clear behind him. Go on down pit lane. Coming in, guys. You just hit the wall. Left rear.
All right, let's check. Hey, Wally, BP.
BP.
That was a terrible restart you got, you know.
That wasn't a very good restart. We don't have the right gear for restarts. We're right in between first and second, so I'm going to have to get creative here.
Okay, get creative. It won't be long.
Wally going to restart.
Cars up. You ready?
That's Eddie DeHunt, the spotter, up on the roof.
Green, 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 green.
See Steve Grissom there on the inside, and he did the black flag for jumping the initial start of the race.
Jeff Burton working on Michael Waltrip for the lead. While he does that, tell you that Jason Keller, Kevin Grubb, Tim Sauter, Ron Young, Tim Kidoff, Bobby Hamilton Jr., Dan Partis, and Joe Buford, among others, pitted under that last caution, mostly just to top off the fuel.
Burton was worried about trying to pass Michael Waltrip. He was about to get past himself. Meanwhile, the 3 wide right behind them as they have Grissom, the lap car, Nemechek, and Kevin LePage. This front straightaway at the Lowe's Motor Speedway is not wide enough for 3 cars.
No, that's something you won't see very much of tomorrow, because we just, with the races as long as we run in the Cup Series, you just don't see guys run 3 wide on the front straightaway unless they absolutely have to.
Kevin LePage working on Joe Nemechek for 4th. Jeff Burton peeking underneath Michael Waltrip for the race lead. While we watch this ongoing race for the lead, Randy LaJoy is taking his car to the garage. Matt?
And Randy's surveying the damage done to the 7 car. And you told me this morning this is the kind of luck that you were hoping was done for the year.
Yeah, I know. It's a little tough when Kleenex Scott brand, the Winn-Dixie car. Changed the motors, and we had a rocket ship. This thing was fast, and passed a lot of cars. Passed the 2 car, and he whistled down into 3 and drove in the left rear quarter panel and turned us around.
Significant damage to the rear of the car. They're going to try to fix it and get it back out for points. Marty?
Well, Matt, the work continues on the AC Delco car. You can see the damage on the rear end. They have the little frame straightener out. They're going to have to straighten that out, put a new trunk lid or deck lid on it with a new spoiler, because it's hard to run around Charlotte without a rear spoiler. Johnny, what happened?
I'm afraid the 7 car just got the air off my spoiler, and I just got loose, and I took him out with me. I hate it for AC Delco, and certainly hate it for Randy, but it's one of them deals.
All right, 24-year-old Johnny Sauter sits in the car, kind of helpless right now, but did own up to his own mistake.
Michael Waltrip is the only leader of the race so far. He's out in front of Jeff Burton by that margin.
And those guys, Michael Waltrip's car and Jeff Burton's car, were stalled in the garage area side by side. So this morning, as I was walking through there, all the guys on the 9 car telling me how they were going to win the race today. And I just walked next door and I said to Bobby Kennedy, Bobby, they said they're going to win the race. You're not even in consideration. So pretty soon I had a nice little heated discussion going.
You stirring up trouble like that?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Was it fun?
It was. Good. It was a lot of fun.
Kevin LePage got that 37 car up to 5th place pretty quickly. Started 10th. Running just ahead of Jack Sprague there in the 24. But they are falling farther behind the top 2 who are running the fastest laps on the track. Michael Waltrip and Jeff Burton in command early here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Down in front of the Little Trees 300 at Lowe's Motor Speedway, Charlotte. We are 22 of 300 laps complete, 200 laps complete rather. And Mikey has led them all so far. Greg Biffle making some strong moves on the outside in that 60 car. Your championship leader, he needed a little more racetrack than he had to work with a couple of laps ago.
There he is on the outside of Casey Mears coming off turn 4, and Mears doesn't realize he's there, comes up, and Biffle just scrapes that wall ever so gently. You see the 23 car on board with. Listen to this.
That's just a nip. Just a scratch.
Okay.
It sounds a lot worse than it is most of the time when you hear that. You got to keep in mind that the sheet metal actually sticks out further than the tires do. So at the angle that he probably hit that, most likely he didn't even touch the tires.
NASCAR Busch Series Championship standings presented by AC Delco. The lead 127 starting the day. Biffle is running 15th. Jason Keller is way in the back.
That's Kerry Earnhardt right directly in front of Greg Biffle.
Jason starting 32nd. Remember, he changed an engine. Had to go to the back of the field for the green flag. You like these onboard views? Tomorrow you can get more with NASCAR in-car on in-demand. 5 in-car cameras with virtual dashboards and real-time telemetry and the like. Check it out. If you've got digital cable, call 1-888-SPORTS-IN. That's how you get in touch with them to order. They call this the Aaron's Dream Machine. It's been pretty much a dream, not just this weekend, but most of the summer. This team hit on something earlier this summer, and Michael's really been on a roll in this Busch Series car lately.
At the Michigan Speedway, the race that he won there, remember, they waited for happy hour to be over in the NASCAR Winston Cup and came in and changed some things that they were using on the NASCAR Winston Cup car. But nevertheless, since that point in time, you're right, they have been very, very strong.
Brian Vickers' car, remember I talked about him going to pit road earlier? They've got electrical system problems, and he has been on pit road getting repairs made, has now rejoined the race, 7 laps down. And Scott Wimmer, 3rd place man in the championship, just coasted to pit road a moment ago during that last commercial break. Word we're getting is crankshaft. Marty?
Yeah, it is a terminal problem for the 3rd man in points, Alan. They are done for the day. Broken crankshaft in the car. Said he felt a big vibration, and then it just let go. Came to pit road. He was able to turn it over one time, but oil came out underneath the car everywhere onto their pit stall, so they had to take it behind the wall. They are done for the day.
Michael Waltrip, Jeff Burton, Jimmy Spencer, Joe Nemechek, the top 4 drivers in this race, all NASCAR Winston Cup drivers with many, many laps of experience here, and the opportunity to practice and tune on their cars this morning before they lined up to go racing. Now here's Bobby Hamilton Jr., one of the Busch Series regulars. He's running back in 25th position now. They had to start at the back because of an engine change. But we talked with Hamilton Jr. earlier this weekend about trying to beat the Winston Cup guys here. And he said he's just hoping to be first in class.
in all reality, they should outrun us with all the laps they get. And they're the best in the world. That's why they're over there and we're still over here. So I mean, in all reality, they should win every Busch race that they're entered into, because like you said, they got the money behind them, they got the resources, if they got a tight race car, they ain't got to sit and scratch their head. They can just get on the radio and ask one of the guys over there what they do to fix the problem over there, and it fixes it over here. So yeah, that's kind of like the bragging rights over here. If you're first in class over here, it's like a win. It doesn't show in the win column, or the paycheck ain't the same, but you know, if you're the best finishing Busch guy, that means you gain the most points in the Busch Series, and that's just the only way you can look at it.
Argument's been going on for almost as long as the Busch Series has been in existence, since 1982. Should Winston Cup drivers be allowed to race in the Busch Series run on Saturday?
Well, I think they should, but I think there should be a limit to it. There's Wally losing the spot. Biffle going by.
Wally had gained a spot. He moved up to 11th. Now he's going to get kicked back to 12th by Biffle.
I think they should limit the number, and I don't know what that number is. I just think a group should get together, come up with it. It might be 5, it might be 8, but these guys can learn so much. Biffle, he's going to be in NASCAR West Cup next year. He can learn so much with racing with the likes of Michael Waltrip and Jeff Burton and all those guys.
I'll be honest. I mean, I learned so much from Mark Martin and Jeff Burton at Rockingham. That was probably one of my strongest tracks when I ran the Busch Series. And being able to follow Mark Martin and Jeff Burton around there, that made me so much of a better driver in the Busch Series, and actually got me prepared. I mean, on days that I ran good with those guys in the Busch Series, that gave me confidence that when it was time to come to the Cup Series, I'd already run with these guys. I had the confidence knowing who I was racing with. As far as most of the guys, at the time, a lot of them did run the Busch Series. So being able to have that advantage of running with them in Busch on Saturday, when it came time to run in the Cup Series, those guys were familiar with me. I was familiar with them. And you learn so much just by following these guys. The knowledge, like Bobby Hamilton said, the knowledge of following these guys that have lap after lap after lap on these racetracks, that's stuff that you can't get a substitute for seat time, and you almost have a way of sharing the information.
Sorry, Smoke, got a car in trouble. Joe Buford in the 49, Dan Partis in the 32, and they are locked together.
You might be able to push him back around to the pit lane. He keeps going.
Caution's out. Michael Waltrip slowing up. Jerry Nadeau is going to get to stay on the lead lap in that 54. Anybody else going to try and get a lap back? Here comes Brian Vickers around to the outside. Remember, he was 7 laps down from the electrical problems earlier. I'll tell you one other period to put on that story of Winston Cup guys driving in the Saturday race. 2 other periods. One is, I wonder if there's a rule possible that if you're a Winston Cup driver, your Busch Series car has to be through tech and on the line before you run your Winston Cup practice, to keep those guys that don't have a Winston Cup ride from being at a disadvantage. The other is, with the new medical policies that NASCAR is talking about, Michael Waltrip brought this up to me a couple of weeks ago, you've got to think about taking a chance on getting hurt in that race car Saturday and possibly not being allowed to run on Sunday if they suspect you might have a concussion.
And that's exactly why Bobby Labonte and myself don't run Busch Series races. Joe Gibbs said, I don't want you guys taking a chance on getting hurt. It's something to think about. The thing that you also see, a lot of the Cup teams also have companion teams in the Busch Series. Those crew chiefs, even though that they don't have a driver that necessarily is running Winston Cup, the crew chiefs will come over and listen to both of the happy hour sessions on Saturday morning and then make their decisions. So there's a lot of pros and cons to it. I honestly don't think it's bad. The more these guys get to race with the Cup guys, the better off they're going to be. The hard thing is they are racing for points, and the Cup guys can affect the point standings a little bit. But that, honestly, in my opinion, is the only negative to it.
As I said, the only thing is limit the number.
Sure.
10 today, there are 10 Winston Cup drivers. That's about as many as we need. At Las Vegas a couple years ago, we had 19. That's too many. All right, here they are, all on pit road, Marty.
All on pit road, BP. Joe Nemechek comes down in the 4th position. That's also where he started. 3,700 RPM. In second gear, that's 45 miles an hour to me and you. The car pretty good for Joe, just a little bit tight. He said not tight enough to make an adjustment, however. So 4 tires, no adjustments for the 87 car. Matt?
Marty, Jeff Burton's going to get sticker tires. The car was tight at the beginning of the run, then got loose and made a chassis adjustment. Also, the 1 car, Jimmy Spencer, he really liked the way his car was running. He has qualifying tires on, so he put stickers on this time just to see how it feels. He beats the 9 out. Dave?
Leader Michael Waltrip going for 4 tires, no changes. He is down and off pit road. Crew Chief Bobby Kennedy reminding him to keep his foot on the brake as he came in. Michael gets beat off pit road, though, guys.
Well, we'll have to check that scoring line, Dave, because it was close. The other guys had momentum on them when they came toward the end of pit road, but where the scoring line is can determine where those positions are.
Well, let's see what we have, because guess what? We have a camera there that tells us that Jimmy Spencer and then Jeff Burton and then Michael Waltrip and then Jack Sprague.
There you go. First to third for Mikey on that pit stop.
What'd you see down there, Tony?
I was watching the 60 car in there. He was pretty tight.
All right, what happened to put us under caution? This was down in turns 1 and 2. Joe Buford in the 49, Dan Pardes in the 32, and somehow they just got locked together. Synchronized slide off the corner. Everybody's okay and is driven away. We're under yellow in Charlotte. About a lap and a quarter away from the restart at Charlotte, and your leader's now Jimmy Spencer.
Let's check on old Wally. Hey, Wally, BP.
How's it up there in the booth, BP?
Oh, that's a little warm. How is it down there?
A little warm in here.
How's the balance on the car?
We're real tight there. The car was tight from the middle off, and then the more we ran, the tighter it got real tight getting in the corner, which is typical Charlotte. Tony will tell you how this track gets tighter and tighter. So we made some adjustments on the old Pepsi car, took rubber out of the left rear, made some air pressure adjustments, and see if we can get her loosened up a little bit.
Is that one reason you lost a couple of spots in the pits making all those adjustments?
Pulling the rubber out, making those few changes we had to make cost us a couple of spots. So I figure we're better to give it up now under the yellow than if we had to do it under the green later.
Okay, all the eyes are upon you, you know.
Yeah, I know that. I can feel them.
Yeah, it's not a good feeling, is it?
It's not.
All right, Wally's going to restart in 16th place.
Got that hand out the window, trying to get a little air in there to cool off.
You notice he knew better than to complain about it being warm in the car, though, when you said it was warm in the booth, because he was going to get no sympathy here. Here's our Stacker 2 race fact. Only one driver has made a sweep of Busch Series races at Charlotte in one season and the championship in the same year. The late Rob Moroso did it, 1989.
Okay, cars are getting ready along board with Greg Biffle.
Spencer, Jeff Burton, Michael Waltrip, Jack Sprague, Joe Nemechek, then Mike McLaughlin up to 6th. Jeff Green, Kevin LePage, Greg Biffle, and Scott Riggs, your top 10.
Green flag, green flag.
So we know the 99 car was good out in clean air. Michael Waltrip, let's see what he can do back in traffic now. And as you well know, it does make a difference.
It does. The one thing that we were talking about this morning during our happy hour session for the Cup Series was this is probably the only mile-and-a-half track on the circuit that is not strictly all about aero like you hear a lot of other places. This track is aero-dependent like the others, but at the same time, a lot of emphasis is on the mechanical bounce of the car. Benny can tell you this track has a lot of waves and bumps in it, and with that, aerodynamics can't do it all for you. You have to have the mechanical package in the car to help out.
Saw Jeff Green take away 7th place from Mike McLaughlin. Hey, BP, watch Wally's restart this time.
All right.
1, 2.
Man.
How about that?
He was in the right gear on that restart, wasn't he?
Uh-huh. Jimmy Spencer and Jeff Burton for the lead.
On the outside.
Wow, look at him just run in there.
He hauled it off really hard in there.
Spencer not willing to give it up yet. Remember last time they went off into the corners side by side over in turn 2. Spencer had the big slip.
I think that's why he went into 3 so hard. He just wanted to clear him in one shot instead of getting hung out there. Matt, what you got for us?
Well, Tony, this should be a good gauge just how stout that number 9 car is, because when he was following the 99 of Michael Waltrip, Jeff Burton was complaining of aero tight. So now that he's got that fresh air, we'll see how good that car can hunt.
Hey, whatever they did to that 6 car must have worked in the last pit stop.
Moved into 10th spot.
That's Joe Buford, the 49 car. He was one involved in that last accident over there. Dan Martis took his car to the garage. Buford looks like he's going to be heading there now.
Meanwhile, Michael Waltrip has moved into the 2nd spot, got by Jimmy Spencer.
Now this will be the real indication. We'll see how long it takes Mikey, if he can run down that 9 car. This will be a really good point in the race to see who's really showing a lot of strength right now.
Greg Biffle in the 60 running 9th. Wally right behind him in 10th.
And Wally, be careful. That's the points leader there. Don't be running into Biffle. No, careful. Attaboy. Look past me if you can.
Just not quite enough.
Boy, they really made Wally's car a lot better on that pit stop.
Here's Scott Riggs just behind Wally in the yellow 10.
Dave, what's up with the 10 car?
Well, Benny, they didn't have any changes to the car when he came in. They did take on 4 tires. You guys talked about cars being a little bit tight behind each other. The 21 car of Jeff Green actually slowed Scott Riggs down early, and when he got around him, it made his car a lot better. He called it pretty good before he came in for a pit stop.
Jason Keller, 2nd place man in the championship, is going nowhere. Granted, he started the back of the field because of that engine change, but man, he's just made up no ground so far.
Well, it's been one big day of adjustments for Steve Eddings' car. How is your race car now? This is not the day you'd hoped for this morning.
Now we missed it a little bit, but we're gaining on it. We're not going to give up. Alverson's crew worked way too hard this weekend through the motor changes and everything, but we'll keep working on it. We're not going to give up on this thing yet.
The car was
I think Matt fell off the wagon. Oh, Biffle gets loose.
Wally's out there now.
Wally's out there now. He's going by you, Greg. And when he got on the outside of him, he got loose.
8th place for Wally. Biffle back to 9th. All this going on behind Jeff Burton, who is out in front of Michael Waltrip by about 1.2 seconds. There's the 37 car getting dusted.
I'm telling you, our boy's on fire today here.
How about that, huh?
You're in 7th place now. Pace yourself. That's the 87 ahead of you.
It's Eddie DeHunt, the spotter.
And the funny thing is, he's got a reason for saying that. He might fall out of the seat halfway through this thing. He hasn't ran that much lately, so he's telling him for the right reasons there to pace himself.
So you're saying he will limp out?
No, I don't know. I'm hoping he doesn't. I'm pretty proud of him so far today. He's doing a really good job, and he looks really strong. I mean, we'll watch his lap times here and see what he's running compared to leaders, but he looks really, really good in that traffic.
Well, whatever Tommy Baldwin and the crew did on the last pit stop has worked. That's for sure. Jeff Burton is the race leader, 1.2 seconds ahead of Michael Waltrip. Jimmy Spencer, Jack Sprague, and Jeff Green round out the top 5. Quarter distance in to Little Trees 300. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. The draw just past a quarter distance here at Charlotte. NASCAR Busch Series action for you on TNT. Jeff Burton leads Michael Waltrip by that much. Little distance back to a new 3rd place runner. Jeff Green in the 21 is up to 3rd. And look at this. What's going on with that 6 car?
Wally Dallenbach has moved into 7th. He's right behind Nemechek in the 6th position.
And I've been watching his lap times during the break. He is just as fast as Jeff Burton when he has clean air. So if he can get through this traffic, I think our boy's got a shot at running up front here today.
Right. Jeff Green in the 21 car has been able to get by the Jimmy Spencer car, the number 1. And Green, remember this 21 was so bad to begin the race? car is flying now.
Up to third spot for Jeff Green. Remember, he won the NASCAR Busch Series race here back in May of this year.
It just goes to show you that these crews can make adjustments during pit stops to really help out. Obviously, they've helped the 21 car. They also helped Wally Dallenbach's car a great deal.
How about speeds at the line? You were talking about how's he doing versus the leader? Let's find out.
Right now, Michael Waltrip a little bit quicker.
Well, he's racing Joe Nemechek there and picking up a spot. Wally to 6th.
That's not a true measure of how fast the car is because he was passing someone. So we'll do it again.
I'm with you.
Said it's a clean racetrack.
Okay. Let's see. Michael Waltrip still a little bit faster than the leader. Not much, but a little bit.
Hey, Wally.
Oh, how about this? Greg Biffle.
Still, he was fastest car last time, is this time as well.
McMurray in that 27. Still got up there at 10th spot with a good lap, too. Murray started in 37th. How did he get up to 10th?
Maybe learned something in practice this morning for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. Remember, he's driving the 40 Coors Line car, replacing Sterling Marlin. Wally's looking outside, inside. Now, if things work out right, Jack will go up the hill and he'll dive under him. Didn't work out just right. On the outside this time. Driver in there, Wally. On the outside, keep on going. There you go.
Not quite enough.
Yeah, he's got position though, see? He's got that run down the straightaway and Sprague said, Wally, you're much faster than I am, so please go right ahead. You have the racetrack.
Here comes Joe Nemechek, going to follow him through. Wally to 5th. Nemechek racing Sprague for 6th. Hey, this is fun.
Yeah.
For us, I'm sure for him, he's having a blast.
I'm pretty impressed. I mean, no more seat time than Wally's getting this year. I mean, he is doing an awesome job today.
Coming up on the back of Jimmy Spencer to challenge him for 4th. There's Spencer, the yellow freight car. Unfortunately, this is all going on about the length of the back straightaway behind Jeff Burton, who has expanded his advantage to 2.2 seconds over Michael Waltrip. Wally made the cut on the leaderboard. We got to regroup. We'll be right back. Coverage of the race for the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship is on NBC tomorrow at noon Eastern Time. The UAW GM Quality 500 from here in Charlotte. Our broadcast buddy today, Tony Stewart, is on the pole for that race tomorrow as he continues the fight for the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. Going to be fun.
I can't wait.
Coming into this race with the championship lead and a pretty substantial one at that. You got to be excited.
I am excited. Coming to Charlotte's one of my favorite races. It's kind of a home race for all of us because we're all based out of the Charlotte area, so being able to come into this race as the point leader and know that the last 6 races coming up are tracks that we've really ran well at. We haven't won at Charlotte, but we've won at 4 of the other 6 tracks, so you know, I'm looking forward to a good day tomorrow. My car was pretty good in happy hour.
How much conversation have you had with Greg and everyone about the championship?
Very small amounts right now. To be honest, we haven't even talked about it. You know, our approach is we've raced hard every week. We left Daytona, the first race of the year, 43rd in points. And all we've done is just race hard every week from there, and that's what has got us to this point. So we're not going to change the formula. We're just going to keep going out and try to win these last 6 races, and you know, let the points take care of itself. So you know, we're letting everybody else worry about the points right now.
Our boy Wally may have nicked her up just a lap or 2 ago. Listen to this and watch.
Oops. Oh, yes. He ever so gently rubbed that wall off turn 4.
Yeah, he made a little adjustment there.
we got an onboard camera. Let's listen. What do you think?
Well, at least he gave it a courtesy lift.
Casey Mears in the 66. had some troubles just a second ago.
Ooh. Oh, Casey Kane, the 98 car, is the guy that had the problem when he tried to squeeze between Casey and the wall.
And Mears off the pace down on the inside of the track. Well, Wally got up to 4th.
Okay, his car, Wally's car, looks to me like it was really good for about 25, 30 laps. And now he's starting to lose that edge on these guys.
I don't know if he's losing the edge. He might be getting tired. Fatigue may be a factor for Wally right now. I'm not sure.
Marty, Kenny Wallace got some problems?
Yeah, they've been fighting a battery problem for a while, Alan. They ran it until the battery finally just about died. They brought it on pit road. They did change the battery for Kenny Wallace. He's back out on the track now with a fresh battery, but lost a lot of ground sitting here on pit road.
Now this 60 car, Greg Biffle, watching this race unfold, Biffle is going to be okay if this thing goes green for long periods. But if they have a bunch of caution flags, he's in trouble because this car doesn't run well for 15, 20 laps. And now, after that, you can see he's one of the fastest cars on the race.
And by the way, you're not missing a thing up front. Jeff Burton is leading Michael Waltrip by 3 seconds. He's leading Jeff Green by 3.5 seconds. So the front three are very spread out. This is the race for 4th place between Wally and Greg Biffle, and it's the closest one in that front group. Our Old Navy track facts. The longest Busch Series race ever was run here. 400 miles, 1985. Most Busch Series events are 300 miles or under.
Well, I was around in 1985, but I don't remember this thing being 400.
Here goes Biffle inside of Wally. Championship leader Greg Biffle took the green flag in 25th place today. His rival for the title, Jason Keller, is back in 24th. And again, this is Biffle racing Wally for the 4th spot.
Wally's got that Pepsi car up on the high line, and it seems to be working. I think Biffle, if he could just use the entire racetrack as he came off the corner, would be okay, but he's a little bit faster than Wally. But Wally's there, and he can't use it.
And you can see Biffle get just a little bit loose in the center of the corner. Wally's just kind of tormenting him out there a little bit. Biffle's probably got a little bit faster car right now, but like we heard earlier with the 2 car, you get right up there and you see he's going to get up there and try to get him loose enough to get him to break his momentum enough that he can just drive on by. But you get a car on the outside of you like that, and it disrupts the airflow over the right side of the rear spoiler, and a lot of times that will make the car go.
All right, so while that's kind of settled in line, we'll take a break here. Jeff Burton well out in front of the Little Trees 300 at Bose Motor Speedway, Charlotte on TNT. Out in front of Michael Waltrip by that margin, a lap car in between the two of them. That's a little bit better than half a second. Michael's been able to close in some in lap traffic.
Well, that's right, because before you said that Michael Waltrip was like 3 seconds behind, and now it's just less than a second. He's right there.
Working farther back, Jeff Green in 3rd, coming through there. Red car with a big white stripe across the hood. Now looking for Greg Biffle, who is now in 4th. Jack Sprague in 5th. Wally's lost a couple of spots during that commercial break.
We saw him brush the wall just a moment ago off turn 4, and I believe he did it the same thing again.
Is that the first replay or the second one? That's identical.
That's the new one, I think.
That's an identical deal.
Wally and Greg Biffle ran side by side for about 6 or 7 laps, and monitoring Greg Biffle's radio, he had a little bit of a testy comment about Wally holding him up, in his opinion.
It gets kind of frustrating sometimes. I mean, when you know you've got a faster car and it's still early in the race like this, a lot of times in the Cup Series, most of those guys have raced with each other long enough and realize it's such a long race. You just let the guy go and fall in line, wait till your next pit stop, give yourself an opportunity to make a change, and then go race the guy later and hope that he has the same courtesy for you. But I think in Wally's defense here, I mean, this is the first time he's run that good in such a long time, and he's running so hard today. You know, obviously by hitting the wall twice, he's giving it everything he has every lap right now. It's hard when you have a fast car to want to let a guy go ahead and pass you, but you know, at the same time, you just got to use your head, and you know, while they're running side by side, they're letting the leaders pull away because they're holding each other up, and at the same time, they're letting the guys behind them catch up. So you just got to play it smart and use a little strategy when racing other cars around there.
Matt?
Well, Benny, like any driver typical in the situation, Greg Biffle, he was verbally displaying his dissatisfaction with the performance of Wally Dallenbach when he's in front trying to get around Wally to his crew chief Randy Goss. And Goss said, look, settle down. We've got a long way to go here. And also we're keeping the bigger picture in the back of our mind. But they did ask their spotter to go down and talk to Wally's spotter to show some consideration. They felt like they were faster than Wally. And then about after another 2 or 3 laps, Jack Roush got on the radio and strongly suggested that their spotter go down and talk to Wally's spotter. So I think message was delivered and received.
I got you. Well, maybe it wasn't just the lap traffic that was allowing Michael Waltrip to catch Jeff Burton, because he's just taking the lead from him.
Yes, he has. And let's see. Michael has been running that extremely high line. I know that's a shock to all you normal fans that watch these, because Michael Waltrip is going to be the first guy to use that high line, but he's been using it, and it's been very effective for him. Even Jeff Burton has moved off the bottom of the racetrack to go up there.
That is Mikey's world up there. He is. Michael Waltrip owns every bit of real estate at every racetrack, from the middle of the track to the top of the wall. That's just where that's his domain. That's where he runs the best. And, you know, with the Busch Series cars, they don't have the same horsepower as a Winston Cup car. The momentum is such a big deal that a lot of times he's able to get a big run and keep that momentum up there, and it really works out well for him.
We are about 10 to 12 laps away from green flag pit stops for these leaders. Well, may have a lead change here.
Well, Jeff Burton in the 9, the game car, moved up, looked like he moved up the racetrack and just let his tires cool a little bit, and now he's going to try to make a run to get back by, but Jeff, I don't think it's going to work.
You don't think he would have let Michael in front of him for a couple laps just to try and size him up, do you?
I wouldn't put anything past Jeff Burton. He's a pretty smart racer. I mean, he's really, really good in the Busch Series here. You know, a lot of it at the same time, like you said, this is the longest green flag stretch that they've had today, and at the same time, the track conditions are changing. They're getting a lot of laps on their tires without a break. You know, they might be moving around just to try to find a better spot on the racetrack where it makes their car handle a little better.
All right, well, like I said, we're about 10 laps away from pit stop, so let's take a commercial break here so we're back for when the leaders come to pit road. Waltrip and Burton trading the lead here at Charlotte. Just shy of the halfway point in the race, oil from the Joe Buford car had been involved in an earlier accident, and the folks in race control, all the important people over there in race control,
making those decisions.
They've spotted the oil and put the caution flag out.
Looks like the mafia up there to me.
Here come the leaders to pit road. Michael Waltrip, Jeff Burton, Jeff Green, Jack Sprague, and Greg Biffle and Wally Dallenbach. How about it, Marty?
And behind all those guys, Joe Nemechek. Actually, behind Wally is Joe Nemechek, and he is running in the 7th position. He's taking catch other cars. He was just too tight when he did catch those other cars to get around him. So they're going to take a pound out of the right front tire for the 87 car, and it will be 4 tires, Matt.
The Jeff Green car had gotten a lot better, although it started out loose. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment and a wedge adjustment. Also, the 9 car of Jeff Burton, his car had a 3-second lead, and he gave it up because it was too tight in the center. Dave.
Scott Riggs got on the brakes, but his car would not stop. He ran into the back end of Michael Waltrip, upset this pit stop for just a minute. They changed 4 tires. I don't believe anybody was injured in the incident, but they pushed the 10 car back, and then Scott's crew went to work. An anxious moment here on pit lane.
Michael has gone off of pit road, but he did not hold the lead.
It's like Jeff Green, the 21 car, is going to be the leader. Jeff Burton in 2nd spot.
And those will be the top 2 off the pit lane, followed by Greg Biffle, who's going to move up to 3rd. Michael Waltrip will come off 4th. Jack Sprague 5th. Under caution, approaching halfway here at Charlotte on TNT. First one Eastern time on NBC. Now, here's the pit road incident a minute ago. Watch the 10 car come into the picture behind. Oh, that was close.
Oh, man, that was so close. The guy carrying the tires for Michael Waltrip almost pinned.
Look at
the tire changer. He's just fighting his way through.
He climbed over the top of the 10 car. He was still doing his job.
Bobby Kennedy, the crew chief, upset about that, obviously.
That just shows the dedication of these pit crews. I mean, anytime anything happens, they know.
Oh,
finish
big
the
trouble.
stop.
We haven't even gotten going yet, and there's a big wreck. Scott Riggs is in the middle of it. Kerry Earnhardt, Ashton Lewis, Larry Foyt, Mark Green, Hank Parker Jr. all scattered all over the place. What was that you were saying at the start of the race about a slippery area down there? Now, watch these guys racing back. The leader's backed off because he knows the accident scene is over there, and all these guys are going to try and get by him and get a lap back, and all the accident cars have now driven away.
Now, the problem is there's a bunch of liquid down there. They're running through it right there. Hopefully none of them get too big a hurry.
All right. So, caution is out. Just after being involved in the sliding incident on pit road, Scott Riggs is heavily damaged. There's Parker Jr.'s car. And let's check out what happened to cause the chaos.
Tony talked about it, having trouble getting started there. But I don't know, it's all started before we get back there.
Ashton Lewis in the 46 looked like he was one of the ones to get knocked sideways across the racetrack first.
On board with Jason Keller. He gets knocked sideways by the car directly in front of Jason Keller.
That's the big problem with cars that lay back.
Stacy Compton.
Stacy Compton.
That's the big problem with cars that lay back. When you lay back like that, if the guy takes off and then all of a sudden the cars in front are doing what they're supposed to be doing, a lot of times then they have to check up, and then the guy behind doesn't see it. He's too close. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing and staying in line, staying closed up. And that's the problem that we've had in the Cup Series. Luckily, we haven't had a lot of those wrecks, but that's the one thing that NASCAR's been emphasizing to us in the drivers' meetings, are to stay closed up behind each other. What guys try to do are lag back. They know that as soon as they get to the line, they can pull out and pass them. What they're trying to do is just get a big enough run to where they get that momentum, and just as they get to the line, they can pull out and go on. But that's the problems that it causes a lot of times, and it's just a stupid mistake to do something like that.
Riggs has gone behind the wall. You see Mark Green's car being pushed behind the wall. Hank Parker Jr. climbing from his machine. Under caution again. Hey, matchup for you on TBS Big Play Saturday tonight. The number 11 Iowa State Cyclones and the high-powered Texas Tech offense. Going to tangle. It's Big Play Saturday tonight at 7 Eastern on the Superstation. There'll be some points on the board in that one. Name the bus. There's our bus, the Pit Boys. Dave, Marty, and Matt brought this bus to the racetrack. They got Lowe's to build a deck on top of it this weekend. They had some fraternity people from UNC Charlotte out there painting it this morning. We need a name for this bus. Help us out at NASCAR.com.
Cleanup still continues on the racetrack after the latest caution flag. Let's try Wally. Hey, Wally, BP, you got me?
I do, BP.
Well, the car seems to be pretty good for about 25, 30 laps. Then what happens?
Well, then I start wearing out the fourth turn wall, and that doesn't help us much.
You know, you had the 60 car a little bit steamed at you.
Say that again?
You had Greg Biffle in the 60 car a little bit steamed at you.
I guess that's too bad. There's plenty of real estate out here.
Okay.
That's our boy. You go after him, buddy.
Hey. You know, nobody says you have to pull over and give those spots away.
No, not at all. That's why they call this racing. But
that's right. All right, all those cars punching out radiators and dropping liquid here on the front stretch has resulted in a somewhat lengthy cleanup. They're still parading around here under the caution flag. And off of pit road, it was Jeff Green who came up with the race lead. Jeff Burton second, Greg Biffle up to third, and Michael Waltrip kicked back to fourth by the pit road problems you saw just a minute ago.
Once again, several cars involved on the restart. I mean, this doesn't seem to be a very good place to crash. They're getting ready to go back to racing. They're running about 65, 70 miles per hour, and somebody runs in the back of someone. And as close as the cars are, pretty soon the racetrack is blocked and there's nowhere to go, and bam! Marty?
Well, BP, in other news, besides the accident, one of the best runs of the day has come to at least a temporary end. Jamie McMurray started 37th. He's behind the wall. What's the problem, Jamie?
Well, I don't know if it's broke a valve spring or what happened. It started doing it about 20 laps into the race and just got worse. Our car was just so good. It just seemed like we couldn't do anything wrong out there, but it's too bad for Williams Travel Centers. They're leaving next year, and kind of wanted to leave on a good note here and have a great run. Charlotte's definitely not one of my best racetracks, but learned a lot in the Coors Light Dodge this morning in happy hour, and it transferred back over here and really had the best car I've ever had at Charlotte.
They had a spectacular run from 37th as high as 7th, but they'll be behind the wall for now. Dave?
Marty, there's a cliche in racing. It is he shouldn't have been back there. The 10 car of Scott Riggs pitted a second time after he had trouble on the first pit. Scott, what happened with the brakes coming in?
Yeah, the first time I came in, got in and my foot slipped off the pedal and hit the gas pedal, and I was trying to gather it back up, running to my guys, running the back of Michael and his guys, and yeah, that was my fault. Had to come back in just because we had a lug loose, and I don't know what to say about it. Next quick forward Taurus, everybody's trying hard. I don't know what we got to do to get it around. It was my fault as far as messing up the first time coming in and my foot slipping off, and nobody else's.
And the incident, Scott? Trying to get through it?
Well, just anytime you're back here like that and halfway through the race, everybody's all comfortable and they decide they're going to take chances. I mean, that's just racing. It's nobody's fault. Just that's what it's going to be like when you're in the back of the pack. And didn't need to be back there. I did that to us.
All right, Scott's car is behind the wall now. The crew's bringing the crash cart over. They'll try to make some repairs, get back out and make a few more laps, guys.
Pretty big list of those cars damaged in this accident. About 9 of them.
Stacy Compton, I don't think, had a lot of damage to his car.
Benny, I put him on that list because he was the one that kind of got it all going. So he was involved in the crash.
Well, he was involved. Again, I don't think he's behind the wall or something like that. But he was definitely a participant.
Napa Field summary. 4 drivers who have led: Jeff Burton, Michael Waltrip, Jeff Green, and Jimmy Spencer. Burton and Waltrip have dominated. Burton's led 45 laps. Waltrip 44 of the 104 that we've run so far. Only 2 cars officially out of the race. Scott Wimmer with an engine failure. Dan Pardis was involved in a lap 35 crash. Championship story on the day. Good for Greg Biffle, not good for Jason Keller. Biffle running in 3rd. Keller running pretty deep in the field in 19th place. May still wrestle a good finish out of this thing yet, but with only 6 races to go, including this one, he needs to be finishing in front of Biffle, not behind him.
It's a lot better than he was. He was back around 30th for a long, long time, so he has moved forward about 10 spots. All right, here we go.
Kevin LePage, the lap car to the inside of leader Jeff Green. 95 laps to go as we take it back up to full speed.
LePage in that 37 car had an unscheduled pit stop on the green flag, and sure enough, as luck would have it, a few laps later, the caution flag came out.
Boy, Kevin's slow there too. Look at him. Struggling with that car. Stan Barrett in the 91, who was trying to decide whether to make it 3 wide or not, and smartly he didn't. Little outside move for Jeff Burton.
Takes the lead. Now we'll see if Biffle's car, remember the 60 car was not very good on the early part of the green flag run. We'll see if it's any better this time.
And remember what we saw with Jeff Burton and Michael Waltrip last time. The early part of the run, Burton moved away by 3 seconds, and then Michael closed back up to him later on. What Burton's mindset is with 95 laps to go, put as much distance on the pack as he can right now, and until he starts to back up.
Battle for second spot. Here comes Biffle.
I think typically every time you watch Jeff Burton, his cars always take off good. Whether it's the Busch car or the Cup car, his setup on his race cars, they always take off good at the beginning of the run, and normally will maintain. But he's very, very strong to me. I don't think he's sitting there thinking try to put as much distance, because the harder he runs that car, the harder he's asking the tires, the more wear he's going to put on it. If you get a caution flag, then you've given up that whole advantage, and you've overworked your tires where some of these other guys may have to be a little more patient with him. So I think Jeff's pretty smart. He's not going to overdrive that car any harder than he has to, but he wants to get away early just to get in clean air, you know, run his pace, run his line, and then sit there and get comfortably and take care of it the rest of the way.
And he told you about Greg Biffle taking 2nd from Jeff Green. Where's Wally? He would be in 8th place, racing Jimmy Spencer in the 1 and Mike McLaughlin in the 18. Now, same thing for Wally's car. He was really good in the early part of that last run.
And McLaughlin in the 18 car, the MBNA car, this guy's racing for his future in the business, because he's been released as the driver of the 18 car. He's looking for work. And the best thing he can put on his resume is a good run at the Lowe's Motor Speedway.
Wally by Spencer for 7th. Next up to chase McLaughlin for 6th, and here comes Joe Nemechek to work on Spencer. I tell you, that 87 car normally runs so well at this racetrack. He's not really been a factor today.
He's been up around the top 5, but you're right. He typically shows a lot of strength here. He's normally the car to beat between him and Jeff Burton and Jimmy Spencer. So it's kind of odd to see, you know, when you talk about a guy that's running around the top 5 right now and talking about him not having that good of a day. It's a pretty good compliment to Joe.
Yeah, that's true.
Saw the car bottom out as Joe entered turn 1 the 87 car last time. I don't know if that's upsetting it or not. Sometimes it can hit hard enough, it will upset the driver.
33 and 5 in the picture there. Tony Raines, David Green, very quietly also into the top 10. And racing for that spot, David Green taking over for Ricky Hendrick in that 5 car here this weekend. I tell you, Raines in that 33 has been really, really solid late, BP. He's had 6 top 10 finishes in the last 9 races for that car.
He has been very good. Bobby Hamilton Jr., the 25 car right behind these guys. Had to start at the rear of the field, had an engine change this morning.
You know, Benny, we were talking about David Green taking over for Ricky Hendrick. The press release that was issued the other day and announcing Ricky Hendrick stepping out of that car talked about lingering effects of the shoulder injury he suffered in a crash at Las Vegas in early March. Those lingering effects aren't just physical in nature, as Ricky told us earlier today.
I really realized that, you know, my problem is driving off in the turn. And, you know, that's where I wrecked and that's where I got hurt. So in the back of my head, I have kind of a mental scar. I really won't let me drive off in the turn comfortably. So I worked on it for a day and a half trying to get it better. But it's just something I feel like, you know, I can't get a hold of and can't get it to go away. I figured, you know, some time would help me out and I would slowly get over it, the more I ran. But it almost seems like I'm getting a little bit worse. So, you know, I wanted to be, you know, honest with myself, honest with the guys, you know. Team GMAC, Hendrick Motorsports, it's a winning team, you know, and I felt like there was something wrong in the equation, and I feel like it's me.
That's an awful brave statement from a young man.
Very much so. I mean, to sit there and say that, and, you know, it takes a bigger man to say something like that than to sit there and try to go out there and be uncomfortable in the race car, put your fellow competitors in danger at the same time. So, you know, I applaud Ricky. I've seen him out away from the racetrack a lot, and he's a really neat guy, a fun guy to hang out with, and you know, I think he'll be involved in this sport in a different aspect as a driver, but I can promise you he will most likely stay involved for quite some time.
And Greg Biffle, this could be a team situation to give him 5 bonus points and then let the 9 car go back. Bye. Huh? What do you think?
All right, one in the BP column there.
Worked to perfection, didn't it?
Yeah. It's nice to have a teammate.
New to NASCAR, you get 5 bonus points toward the championship when you lead a lap. That was the first lap Greg Biffle had led today, and even if he doesn't lead another one, he's gotten 5 more points than Jason Keller's gotten.
Jack Sprague, the 24 car, all of a sudden is going backwards. Dave, what's going on?
BP, they know they've dropped a cylinder. Crew Chief Dennis Conner said, I hear it, and no matter what you switch in there, it's not going to fix it. Jack said, I know. This is the best car we've ever had here. I hate that this happened. And Dennis said, you know what? Maybe it'll be this good in Atlanta, too. Similar car, maybe similar setup.
Uh-oh, we're starting to see that blue smoke out of that 24 car, which means it's not long.
The bad thing is problems just don't normally fix themselves in a motor, so you just ride it out and you hope for the best.
That's tough. Jack Sprague 4th in the championship standings coming into the race too, so it could hurt him there too. Mike McLaughlin is not all that far behind him for that number 4 spot. Jeff Burton is out in front, 83 laps to go, 9/10 of a second on Greg Biffle. With Michael Waltrip, Jeff Green, and old Wally rounding out the top 5. 300 for the NASCAR Busch Series. Tony Stewart joining BP and I for the call today. There's Jeff Burton out in front, and he's putting some distance on his teammate Greg Biffle. It's up to 2 seconds, the distance now from first to second. Let's take you through the field. Matt, you got the leader.
Well, his last run, he pulled out to a 3-second lead, and it slowly dwindled away. Right now, Jeff Burton has a 2-second lead. The car was was tight in the center and loose up off, so they made both a wedge and air pressure adjustment to help the center and also help him up off. Meanwhile, Greg Biffle slowly reeling in his teammate, but he can't really do much once he gets there. The 60 car, he said it felt like it didn't loud, and he just wants to ride and protect the motor a little bit, Dave.
And on the last run, Michael Waltrip's car got loose, and they couldn't quite figure out why until they took the tires off the car. They found out the air had built up more in that set than the first, so they made no changes, and the car's a lot better on this run. Matt, back to you.
Dave, we told you about Jeff Green's brand new race car in the New Car Blues they've had this weekend. Well, they've got it dialed in up to 4th, but they're still feeling that aero imbalance. Says the car is good by itself, but when he gets into traffic, it goes to the loose side. Marty?
Matt, Joe Nemechek is trying to chase down Jeff Green. The car's a little bit tight. Gets tighter when he's behind others. That's called an aero push. Next week, a young man named Dave Rudeman will be in this 87 car at Memphis. He is the leader in the All-Pros Championship Series. Next week after that, Rudeman will be in a Dodge at Atlanta in the 88 car racing for Nimco Motorsports. Dave?
Wally Dallenbach Jr. By golly, he's still just a little bit tight in the last run, so they made a track bar adjustment, gave him 4 fresh tires. It is better now, and they're hoping that the car won't tighten up like it did at the end of the last run. Matt?
Well, Dave Tony's corporate teammate Mike McLaughlin is riding in the 7th position. He was up to 5th and faded 2 spots. I talked to his crew chief, Timmy Shutt. He says the cloud cover is what's playing the most havoc for this team today. When it's cloudy, the car is really good, and that's why he climbed up into the top 5. But the sun starts to peek out, and it goes to the loose side. And he's just passing our own Wally. Meanwhile, the 5 car of David Green in for Ricky Hendrick. Back on lap 34, they pitted and took on 4 tires, made a track bar adjustment and an air pressure adjustment. They came out 24th, and that's what's been the biggest thing for this team today. He's quietly motored up into the top 10. His spotter today, the young man he replaced, Ricky Hendrick. Meanwhile, the 1 car, Jimmy Spencer, before his last stop, he told his crew chief, Mark Reno, he had a vibration. They thought it might be loose lugs. After the last stop, the vibration is still there. I think it might be a driveline problem. And remember, Marty, we do have concrete pads here on pit road, and that can be very tough on the driveline.
Well, Matt, Tony Range is having a nice run. He started 22nd. He's up in the 10th position. He's still a little bit tight. This morning, they were worried about the engine package. He said that the engine just didn't feel good to him in happy hour. They debated on whether or not to change it, decided not to do that. They've had an excellent day on pit road, picked up 5 spots on their last stop. And as Alan mentioned earlier, this team's been very consistent. And in the points, they've gone from 18th to 11th in just 10 races. Alan?
So there's your top 10. Just behind them, Bobby Hamilton Jr., Tim Fedua, Shane Neal, Ron Hornaday, and Mike Wallace. And then you've got Jason Keller back in 16th. But it's all well behind this man, Jeff Burton, who has set himself up in pretty dominant fashion right now. He's 3 seconds up on this race for 2nd place.
And a good race it is. Greg Biffle, a 60 car, and Michael Waltrip, 99, has run him down. And Michael is much faster, but let's see how much trouble he has getting by. Greg has been running on the bottom of the racetrack. I don't think that's going to be a problem for Michael to go by.
He built a lot of momentum through the center and the exit of the corner there. You saw him just pull right up to the back of Biffle.
Now here he's going to drive on the outside.
Whoa, he drove up there.
Right up against that outside retaining wall and get that momentum. And there he goes.
Look how big of a run he hits off the corner. You can keep so much momentum on the high side. If you can make your car turn and a guy has to slow down through the center, he breaks that momentum. And with these smaller motors, like I say, they're not as big as the Cup cars. He breaks the momentum just enough to where when Mikey can keep that run up there, he really gets a shot off the top there down the straightaway.
You know, I've never done it before, but when you go barreling off into that corner on a track like this where you got some banking to catch the car, that just looks like it'd be so much fun.
It looks like all the cars have to run on the bottom of the racetrack in 1 and 2. I just haven't seen anyone be able to go around the high side of the 1st and 2nd turn.
That's typically always been that way here. I mean, it's always been the fastest way around 1 and 2 has always been right on the bottom. Seems like the sunshine, the angle of the sun affects 3 and 4 more than it does 1 and 2. Creates more heat on that end, and that's what makes everybody have to move around in 3 and 4 than 1.
We are now at 200 miles. 2/3 distance in today's race. Jeff Burton out in front of now Michael Waltrip. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. the Little Trees 300. Jeff Burton leads Michael Waltrip by 3.5 seconds. Greg Biffle, the championship leader, runs third. His title rival Jason Keller runs 15th.
Matt, what's going on with Biffle?
Well, Benny, when we did our Through the Field, we mentioned that Greg Biffle said the motor just felt funny like it did in New Hampshire. They asked him 3 laps ago if the motor is any worse. He says the motor is still about the same, but now I cannot see through my windshield. I'm having to use the white line there on the bottom of the racetrack and the white dots on the racetrack a groove or two up to see where I am to guide myself around this racetrack because the windshield is just so dirty. He felt like Kerry Earnhardt's car had let a lot of liquid on the racetrack, and that's what's dirtied up the windshield. But you can see, looking out his windshield, it's tough.
It is tough, and he's got Kerry Earnhardt on the bottom of him right now. Earnhardt has spent some laps in the garage area. He's back on the track now with a little bit fresher tires and a pretty fast race car right now.
And I think that Biffle was referring to the accident earlier when all the liquid was dropped on the racetrack and they ran through it for a couple of laps. Not right now. Because Kerry's coming up behind him on fresher tires now.
I thought maybe he had just passed Kerry Earnhardt is why that he was talking about. But you're probably right. It was in the crash.
That is an affirmative, AB.
Yeah. Remember they had that big wreck there and all that puddle and they came back to the caution. How about that, running down in the sun glare off into turn 3 and 4 here with that windshield all cloudy like that?
It's pretty tough, actually, but to be honest, it's just as hard to go into turn 1 with it like that because now you're going from daylight and you're running into the sun, into shade. And then it makes it even tougher to see when you go into that shade like that. So you do have to just kind of follow the lines, and trust me, that big concrete wall, as white as it is, you can see it when it's coming up at you, so you're trying to you get away from it when you need to.
Dallenbach, the 6 car, moves into 6th. That's when you need a car number 1, huh?
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, 58 laps to go. Leaders maybe 18, 20 laps away from pit stops. So let's take a break. Jeff Burton out in front. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Speedway Charlotte. Tomorrow, the NASCAR Winston Cup Series for 500 miles. Today, Burton trying to get a 300-mile preview. See if he can pick up a trophy and a big check along the way. Burton has been out in front for 86 of the 147 laps we've run today. But the hottest man on the racetrack besides Burton might be that 5 car.
David Green goes by Wally Dallenbach, moves himself into the 6th position. And they aren't that far behind Greg Biffle. Biffle is slow. Considerably the last few laps, he's lost a couple of spots. He's back to 5th spot now.
Matt, Biffle hadn't said anything about the engine, anything more like that, just the vision?
He spoke about the vision, looking through the windshield. You can see it again, how dirty it is, but he's also complaining about the 12 car of Kerry Earnhardt again, and also his team and his crew chief there, Randy Goss, told him that they are here in the 21 is complaining the same thing, but you can see how tough it is to look through that windshield. And Tony, you got tear-offs on your Winston Cup car, but Benny, what did you guys used to do to clean that windshield? Big old brush and a bucket of water?
Bucket of water and a brush, because we use glass, and they would hit with sand and what have you, sandblast the windshield, and we didn't have tear-offs. So vision was a huge problem back 25 years ago.
That was probably a common windshield, what you're looking through right there.
Yeah, it was.
We're all in under the caution at lap 95. If we use the 65 lap pit distance, then we're going to see him in another 11 laps.
Now, this is Wally's windshield. Folks, look at that and what he can see, and just think back a few seconds ago what Greg Biffle could see. All right, let's go back to Biffle's windshield.
Looks like the TV's out of focus.
Yeah.
And that's not fun, especially in a place like this where you run so fast. And like Benny mentioned earlier, you watch the leaders that are running right up by the wall. It is so hard to gauge how close you are, because that white wall, even though you know it's there, it's just hard to tell exactly how far you are away from it.
Well, some of the crew chiefs have complained to race officials about liquid or whatever that might be causing some of these windshield problems, but the officials can't spot anything on the racetrack, and we stay under green.
So you can see the difference in the 2 cars. Did these cars drive by Wally while we were on board with him? Was I seeing things? Guess not. It's a battle between McLaughlin and the 18, Spencer in the 1. Back for the 8th and 9th position. McLaughlin has it. Spencer wants it. That's how this game works.
And normally if Spencer wants it, he's probably going to figure out a way of taking it too.
Bobby Hamilton, the 25 car, right behind them.
By the way, Benny, the guy that drove by Wally that you saw was somebody that just came out of the garage on fresh tires.
Okay, I thought I saw someone go by and wonder what that was all about.
All right, pit stop's going to come anytime now. 6, 7 laps away. Look at this, David Green, 5th place on Greg Biffle. Great drive for David.
It's a terrific drive.
I talked to David yesterday morning standing in the rain here in the garage area, and he talked about the fact that he needed to knock some rust off. He had only driven 6 starts so far this season, and he said it is kind of like riding a bicycle. You do get back into the swing of it soon, but those first couple minutes you're back on the bicycle for the first time in a long time. You do have to get your balance again.
Looks like he has it pretty well. All right, here comes Wally. First car on pit road. He can easily make it the rest of the way. Dave?
And we'll see if he can hit his mark. This is what they call the Tommy Baldwin Racing Superstars crew. A bunch of guys from Winston Cup coming and teaming together to pit Wally's car. Just a little bit loose right now, so they're going to make an adjustment for that. That is a better condition than it was earlier when the car went tight near the end of a run. So they're going to make a wedge adjustment to correct for that and give him, it looks like, 4 tires as well. Crew comes around to the left side, right side clean. Wally waiting. Don't know if he got any cowtails, but he does get a cool drink. And peels out and leaves.
Watches pit road speed on the tachometer. And gone back beyond the speed line. Now Wally needs the race to stay green through the rest of the leaders stopping, or he's going to get caught way back in the pack and ruin that good run he had going.
Yeah, that's the thing that you're always concerned about, especially when you're the first one to make a pit stop, because now you got to wait about 10 or 12 laps before all the cycle goes through and everyone else makes their pit stop.
But the positive side to it also, he's on fresh tires. He's going to gain probably a second to a second and a quarter on these guys that are still on the old tires. So he's going to make up time. But like you said, the downside, if the caution comes out between the time that the leaders all finish their pit stops and now, he does go stand a chance of going a lap down.
Yeah, they call that short pitting, and he's going to gain that second you were talking about every lap.
Right. The sparks you saw there, that's when you come out of the pits like that, the air pressure are very, very low. So when you see the car bottom out, it won't do that the whole run. It'll do that for 3 or 4 laps till the air pressure builds up, and then it'll actually make the spring rate of the tire stiffer to where it won't compress when it hits the bumps.
Jimmy Spencer has a yellow freight car on pit road.
Pitting from 7th place, BP.
All right, let's see. Right side's up. Off. Same spot, back on. Very nice, very nice. 6.5 seconds. Matt?
And Benny, the car rolled forward just slightly. They're going to put sticker tires on the 1 car of Jimmy Spencer. No adjustments.
Randy LaJoy, we see the Kleenex car is back on the track. He was involved in the first caution flag. Some heavy damage to his car. Spent several laps in the garage area. About 90.
Yeah, 91 laps down for LaJoy. He's back in 41st place. Guess what? The sheriff has mustered a penalty on Jimmy Spencer.
Did he speed?
Yep. He will have a drive-through penalty. Means he has to come down pit road at the pit road speed limit. Doesn't have to stop in his pit box, but he has to come through.
And he looks like Jimmy is slow. I think Jimmy's going to quit. I'll bet you he's very slow in the apron of the racetrack.
A little, I'm angry and had enough of this.
I don't think that's the pit road speed either right there.
Doesn't look like it.
Jeff Green is in. Greg Biffle is in. And Spencer's going to the garage. He's had enough. All right, here comes Green. Biffle's in, Matt.
And the biggest problem for Greg Biffle, Alan, coming down pit road, he had a hard time seeing where his pit stall was because of dirty windshield. You can see Edgar Allman, the engine tuner, pulling the tear-offs. Scott Gertz already going to work on the left front, putting sticker tires on. No adjustments for Biffle, and he's down and away.
Wow.
Don't speed now, 5,000 first.
5,000, stay below the blend line now. They done got a couple of them on there. Stay down. Stay down. 3 more coming at speed. Keep staying down. 2 more. You got a little open right there. Got one up in the middle of 1 and 2.
All right, Mike McLaughlin's in. Joe Nemechek's in, Matt.
And they are going to make the wedge and track bar adjustment on Mike McLaughlin's car. Jay Guarneri going to work on the left rear. McLaughlin having a good day. Still seeking his season's first win. Service complete.
And Jeff Burton on pit road making his final pit stop. Should be his final pit stop. Matt, coming to you.
Well, before his last stop, he was both tight in the center and loose up off. They used a track bar and wedge adjustment to fix that. No wrenches going in the back window. This will be just a 4-tire sticker stop. They're going to put stickers on Jeff Burton's car. And service done for Burton.
That's a very solid stop. 15-8.
Very solid.
Michael Waltrip took over the lead when Burton pitted. He's in. Here's David Green also in. Is that John Hendrick there in the white shirt in the background there watching? Matt?
Well, they already are in the work on the left side of the car. David Green, no adjustments, just 4 sticker tires.
That sure makes it. Michael Waltrip on pit road, Dave.
Michael Waltrip was behind Jeff Burton on the track, so he's going to try to pick up some time on pit road. 2 tires only. The car was tight. They make an air pressure adjustment to try to correct for that. And now, a little trouble getting the fuel can out of there. And it looks like they didn't need the second can in there. Just a little bit long on pit road. Might not have worked.
2 tires. Wow. What do you think?
Well, but they blew it, 2 tires, but they blew that strategy by taking too long with the gas. So if they had to do over again, they changed 4.
Well, let's see how he comes out here and what kind of time differential there is between the 9 and the 99. Well, looks like the 9 got out ahead of him still. Marty?
Tony Raines is in right now, and they were running pretty good on the racetrack. They're going to the left side right now for Tony Raines. The car was a little bit tight. It's been tight all day long. They haven't been able to get that out. They do adjust with air pressure 4 tires for Tony Raines.
A couple of cars still have not made pit stops. Bobby Hamilton Jr. Here he comes now. Speak of the devil.
Little Toys for Tots on the Marines car. Marine Corps Reserve, big sponsors of the Toys for Tots drive, and they're kicking that off here this weekend. Dave, got a toy for him?
No, but apparently October through December, they're starting their campaign. So Marine recruiting centers, Home Depots, a lot of places you can drop off the toys for the kids. Bobby is so happy with this car, they are not going to make any changes. They're going to give him 4 tires. They've already come from the back up into the top 10 one time today, and Junior feels like just 4 tires without any changes is the way to go. They give it to him, fill this car full of fuel, and now he peels out.
Tim Fina was now the leader in the 92. Jason Keller is second. Neither of those cars having pitted yet. Then it'll go back to Jeff Burton. See Wally trying to unlap himself here on the race leader.
And that will put him back in the lead lap, which is very important in case the caution flag should come out of the next lap or so.
Yep. Here comes Finoa. Finoa taking over for Todd Bodine in this car after the Kansas race. Bodine concentrating on his Winston Cup effort. Marty?
Yeah, 33 laps to go. Here comes Tim Finoa down pit road. Obviously the last stop for all of these cars. He wanted to tear away off. He is tight. They do make an air pressure adjustment trying to loosen him up. It is just 2 tires for Finoa, who will drive this car next week at Memphis as well.
And big moment for Jason Keller because he's at least evened up the bonus points with Greg Biffle. Keller's now the leader.
He has received those 5 bonus points.
By the time he stops, he's probably not going to finish in the top 10 in the race, but he's evened up the bonus points anyway.
So that means he probably got the maximum out of the minimum today.
Yeah, there you go. So once Keller stops, it'll be pretty much the way it was before. Jeff Burton leading Michael Waltrip. Joe Nemechek's going to move up to third. And maybe, just maybe, the short hitting got our boy Wally up to fourth. We'll check the standings when we come back. Jason Keller's crew did good by staying out there and getting the bonus points, but by staying out there that long, he ran out of fuel.
Ran out of gasoline, and like to have never got it started. We see him pushing. And the reason they push this car is they use the starter and they put the car in gear, let the clutch out, so the engine turns over about 6 or 7 times more than it would if trying to use a starter, trying to pump some fuel into it, trying, and yeah, they finally get the car started.
Just saw one of the crew guys there pleading for any of the teams there to throw them a can of ether to get it, to prime the engine and get it started on the ether, and then hopefully get the fuel pump caught up. That's letting the clutch out right there. That's hard on the drivetrain.
I don't care if those guys run 5 miles a day working out. That's the longest, hardest run they'll ever have.
There you see the ether going in.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, wow, we have fire.
Unfortunately, that has dropped Jason Keller 2 laps down back to 19th place. We're making about a lap and a half. No, it is 2. It's about 2.5 laps down. How about that? All right, Jeff Burton out in front very comfortably. The 2-tire deal on Michael Waltrip didn't work.
Did not work. And again, it might have worked if it had not been for the gasoline. Something happened back there, and all the time they saved on the 2-tire stop, they wasted on the fuel.
But at the same time, keep this in mind. With the problems they had on the right sides, if they went ahead and made a 4-tire change, think how much further they'd be behind. So
Fifth place.
May have established some time there.
David Green going to get the top 5 away from Wally. Now, Wally really doesn't care for when we pop the picture of the driver's wife up on screen. So we're doing this just for when he goes back and watches the tape. Wally, we got Robin on TV.
Oh, yeah.
I can see about Tuesday night or so, I'm going to get a phone call.
I don't know why he's complaining. She's calling.
Have a very good race car driver, I might add.
I might leave up here a little bit early and head down there and hang out with Robin for a little bit.
I forget who it was. Robin is a very good race car driver, and I forget who I was with. It might have been our producer Sam Flood, but we walked into Wally's truck the other day and walked in, and Sam said to Wally, "Car's running pretty fast in practice. Was Robin driving?"
Daggers through the air.
Yeah. Hey, 6th place, not bad for a guy that's only running his 2nd Busch Series race ever.
It's very impressive. Had a great run here today.
And even more than Wally, Tommy Baldwin trying to get this Busch Series team off the ground, scrapping for sponsorship. Wally and he put the Pepsi deal together to run these races, but Tommy's also looking for things to maybe put a full Busch Series effort together and find a young driver to develop. And good to see the preparation and the effort that Tommy and Eddie DeHaan have put into getting this car on the track paying off.
Oh, they got the young driver. He's already down there working away. Damon Lusk. So I'm down there working away, and I said, "You'll do anything to stay around these guys." So yeah, got to do whatever I can.
Jeff Burton has extended his advantage over Michael Waltrip by another 2 seconds. It's up to 11.7 now. 19 laps to go. We'll take our final commercial break under green flag racing, and we'll come back after this. To go, Jeff Burton coming up on the back of the championship leader, Greg Biffle, to put him a lap down, and Wally.
As Biffle gets by, Wally picks up a spot, 5 points. But Burton also gets by.
So Biffle will take over 6th. Wally will go back to the first car, 1 lap down in 7th. And Jeff Burton is just steamrolling this field.
Oh, yeah, Biffle's going to be right there with him. There's another car a lap down in just a lap or so.
But keep in mind, though, their teammates, with the lead that he has right now, he may just sit there and ride for a while in case the caution does come out. Make sure he keeps his teammate on the lead lap and give him an opportunity to gain even more points when they go back to the lead.
What do you think, Matt?
Well, Benny, Tony's exactly right. And what Greg Biffle is hoping for is a caution. His car has gone terribly loose. He said he doesn't understand what happened on this set of tires. He is the last car on the lead lap, but if he can stay there and if we get a caution, they are going to pit for fresh tires.
Boy, remember the May race here for the NASCAR Busch Series in Charlotte? Greg Biffle did just that. He pitted and restarted 7th place with 4 laps to go. Got to 2nd, and he was all over Jeff Green's back bumper when they came off turn 4 for the checkered flag and almost got him at the line.
But he did go a lap down. Burton goes by. The ironic thing about Greg Biffle, who did that in May, the next race at Dover with, I don't know, 15 laps or so to go, he didn't pit. Stayed on the racetrack, just the opposite, and won that race.
Biffle got really, really loose with Jeff Burton right behind him off of 2. It's probably the best thing to do is let him go, knowing that if he does get the caution, most likely Jeff's going to slow down, let him get back around and get his lap back.
Storylines we talked about at the top of the race. Can someone win from the top?
Well, we've had a couple of cars up there. Michael Waltrip has been at the top of 3 and 4, so has Jeff Green. But the guy that's run the bottom of the racetrack, Jeff Burton, is the leader. So, no.
He's been up there a little bit, Burton has, but predominantly, you're right, he's been down on the line.
And Biffle, as it stands right now, another huge gain in the championship battle for the NASCAR Busch Series this year.
Winston Cup guys are going to dominate the day today, right now holding down the top 4 spots. And will Wally wimp out?
Nope.
No, he's going to make it to the end.
He'll make it to the end and a good finish.
Still up on top of the wheel there.
And he's just got 8 laps to go to see the checkered flag today.
I think he's going to make it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even think he's gotten tired. He looks like he's still pretty fresh right now.
By the way, let's update one thing. Remember we talked about Jimmy Spencer just after he got the speeding penalty and went to the garage area? His car reported out of the race with engine failure.
And by the way, I think we talked about on the break, we might have mentioned it earlier, but in that melee on the front stretch, Hank Parker Jr., I guess, was taken to a local hospital for observation of a shoulder injury of some kind.
Yeah, said he was complaining of some pain in his shoulder, so they transported him to a local hospital to have a further look. All Jeff Burton today, BP. 123 of the 193 laps we've run so far. He's been out in front.
Well, Bobby Kennedy, those guys told you. Tony Price told you he was going to beat you. And Bobby argued with him, but it was Tony Price and the guys on the 9 car that were correct.
And speaking of Tony Stewart will lead the field of the green flag in tomorrow's UAW GM Quality 500 coverage starting at noon Eastern time on NBC. Let's talk about tomorrow's race for just a minute. Hot, slick racetrack day predicted for tomorrow like we've seen here today.
I'm all for it. The hotter and slicker, the more that aero is taken out of the equation, the more it puts the mechanical balance back in. It puts crew chiefs and drivers back in control of the race. So very, very excited about getting the Home Depot Pontiac up front tomorrow.
So for a storyline tomorrow, we could put, will Tony Stewart ever get off the white line on the bottom? And the answer would be?
If I have to run 2 laps up there somewhere during the day just to say I was up there to make you happy,
you're going to do
I'll try to call in early and let you know. But to be honest, last time I was here, I got up on top for a little bit. I didn't stay up there religiously. I'm one of those guys that if I can figure out how to stay down and keep my car down there and keep working on it that way, it seems like when everybody else starts sliding up, I can drive under them. So I'm going to try to stay on the bottom, but I'll run up there a couple for you tomorrow.
Burton's done a pretty good job on the bottom today.
Burton's been good everywhere today.
Yeah, of course
he's been from the bottom all the way to the top, so he's had a great race car all day.
Final thought. Oh, go ahead, Benny.
I just said start saying about to put a lap on Jeff Green, who's in the 4th position. Wow.
Final thought on tomorrow from you, Tony, championship-wise. All the talk about the championship, your name's been thrown out there a lot as watch him, watch him, watch him. Now all of a sudden you're leading. A lot of pressure have you felt this week? A lot of questioning? It seems like you've kind of been taking it all in stride and laying low.
What championship?
Yeah, okay.
I got 6 races to win coming up, so to be honest, I'm not worried about it. I mean, we've got a great team with Joe Gibbs Racing and Home Depot, and all we have to do is just go do what we've been doing in the past. Like I said, we started the season 43rd in points, and I think we've had 6 DNFs this year, so we've given them plenty of opportunities to pull away. We've just been racing hard and just getting all the points we can each week, and there's no reason to change that equation now. What we've been doing has been working and has got us to the lead, so it's the old saying is, if it's not broke, don't try to fix it.
And going into the race last week at Talladega, there was not a clear-cut favorite for the championship, but now you have assumed that role as the favorite.
Well,
You know how that goes. I mean, look what happened to Jeff Gordon last week. I mean, he was probably the favorite going into last week's race, and one bad week can turn it around. And to be honest, in my opinion, it's one of the most exciting point races I've ever been a part of and have ever seen, to see every week something changes in the point standings, and that's how competitive and how tight the series is, and that's how tight the points have been this year. So I think it's great for the fans that they're seeing probably one of the best point races in the history of Winston Cup racing.
We look forward to seeing how that unfolds tomorrow. Final lap for Jeff Burton today, dominating, the only word to describe his performance. He will have led 130 of the 200 laps in this race. He will have led almost nonstop except for pit stops, going all the way back to about lap number 106, halfway in the race. Going to score his second Busch Series win here at Charlotte, his 5th win in 12 races this season. Little Trees 300 checkered flag to Jeff Burton and Roush Racing. McLaughlin edges Hamilton Jr. for 8th place at the line.
And Wally comes home in the 7th position.
Good. Show him way to the victory lane. That's why we got here today. He showed him how to get the victory lane on that line. Awesome. You guys are awesome, Bert. I love you, man.
Voice of Brad Parrott, crew chief for Jeff Burton.
The 11th win by a NASCAR Winston Cup driver in Busch Series competition this season. And Jeff Burton, Dave, he just stomped the field today.
And the last time, Alan, we were at a 1.5-mile racetrack in Kansas, I believe they stomped him that day. Does it get any better than this?
No, it don't. First of all, I want to thank the good Lord for giving us a beautiful day today. I want to thank my dad. I haven't thanked my dad all year, and he's the reason I'm here. And I don't get emotional like my brother, but I am right now, because that right there was a royal. I don't want to say what it was, but Jeff Burton's an awesome driver. This Team Roush, Jack Roush Racing, thank Gain, thank everybody that put this deal together. Ford, my whole pit crew, Daryl Morrow, Tony Price, James Dixon, Jason Brinkus, the engine department, the fab shop. They're awesome, unbelievable. This same car that we won Darlington with, and this is Sherwin, and they wanted to sell this car at the end of the year because it's got 11 races on it. I don't think I should.
No, don't sell it, and I'm sure your dad, buddy, is very, very proud of you guys. Go celebrate. Thank you. Thanks, Todd. Brett.
Hey, Wally, Benny Parsons, you got me?
Got you, BP.
Congratulations, terrific run.
Yeah, the Pepsi car was good today. We just got to figure out how to get this thing not be so tight right there for, last 20 laps or so. We made a lot of adjustments, but we're gaining on them. Not bad for a part-time driver.
No, and Tony was talking about just falling out of the seat, but you didn't do that.
Couldn't do that. You'd be all over me. You know better than that.
Great run, Wally. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Wally and Tony will trade places for tomorrow. And Tony will go after the win in the UAW GM Quality 500. Jeff Burton got a little 300-mile preview trip to Victory Lane today. And he heads into the winner's circle. While we wait for him to get there, let's hear from today's runner-up.
And Michael will get in a cool drink of water because it was awfully hot out there today. And you tried 2 tires there at the end. You tried everything you could do to catch Jeff Burton, but didn't think like anything was going to work today.
No, I thought we were better than him early, and I got a bad set of tires, and it threw me off. And then we adjusted for the bad tires, and then I pushed all day, so we just missed it a little bit. I didn't exactly nail the shock package I needed. I had some shock problems today. Richie Gilmore, DEI, Bobby Kennedy, and the Cheryl's Ford posse. I'm real proud of all of them. They did a great job putting my Aaron's Dream Machine in almost next door to Victory Lane. I'm second. But I want to tell you one thing, Matt. Do you know, what's your name, Marty? Aaron's is leasing quality products at affordable prices.
I figured that.
$99 a month.
All right, thank you very much, Mikey, and a good plug. You tried for a second win of the year, but didn't quite come up in Victory Lane, Dave.
Well, Greg Biffle finished 6th today, Marty, but it was not easy. Greg, why was it so tough there at the end of the race for you?
Well, I couldn't see anything. They didn't give us a guy to pull the tear-off off, and it was pretty much wiped out from the start, and then the 12 car was just leaking so much oil. Totally covered my windshield. I couldn't see the corner. I couldn't see the line. I couldn't see the wall. Couldn't see cars in front of me. I was trying to look out the side window, loosen my belts to try and pull the tear-off off, and I saved it, and I'm going to put it on his windshield for on the way home so they can think about going down the highway at 55, looking through that, what I had to do at 180.
Okay, Greg obviously has a reason to be upset. It's hard enough to drive these things when you can see. He could not at the end of this race, guys.
There are the top 3 finishers today. Jeff Burton doing most of the leading. He, along with Michael Waltrip, led 2/3 of the distance. 4 caution flags, 9 failed to finish, and the remarkable number, only 3 of the 43 starters finished on the lead lap. To victory lane, Matt.
And Jeff Burton trying to climb out and high-five Darrell and the guys. Wow, your season's 5th victory, first time you've ever won more than 4, and how dominant was that race car?
It was awesome. Just Michael was better than us to start, but guys just kept digging, making changes on the car, and we got 4 tires on here, and then it just took off. It was, just real proud of all these guys. They keep giving me awesome race cars, and it's just incredible how well they're doing.
Now, the big man here gives you great power, but Brad Parrott, you had an agenda when he came in this year, and you really wanted him to take over. Is this what we're seeing?
Well, it really is. The whole team is really working hard to get, and they're working together. They're working with the Winston Cup program. The guys in the Cup program are helping us, and they're helping the Cup program. Just a lot of people working together, and real excited for Gain. They've been a big part of this. Unfortunately, they won't be back with us next year, but we're hoping to get this thing, keep it going. It's an awfully great race team, and I'm sure we'll get it going.
Now, you said today was part learning, but also part fun. This has to be the fun part of the day, having such a dominant car like that.
I hate to say this, but every now and then you sit in a car where you just got to be careful not to screw it up, and that's where we were today. And then we got toward the end, and the race here in the spring, Greg put on tires and almost won. So I looked at all those guys in front of me, and I said, man, I got to go, because if we don't, the more cars I can put a lap down, the better I'm going to be. The fewer cars can come on pit road, put on 4, and put us in trouble. So I went real hard to try to get as many guys a lap down as I could, so that we could come in and put on 4 and play the game we wanted to play rather than having to play the game they were going to play.
Also helped the college fund out a little bit, too.
That's good for everybody. It's just, this team just does a great job, and it's a pleasure to drive.
Jeff Burton, winner today in Charlotte. Alan?
Cat in the hat in there to give him congratulations. Dominating performance by Burton and his team today. Led well over half the distance in picking up his 5th win of 2002.
And there you see it, just 3 cars, Michael Waltrip and Joe Nemechek on the lead lap. Good 4th on back, a lap down.
Good top 10 for Shane Meal. Kind of snuck in there for a good result.
Ron Hornaday will complete the list of cars 1 down, and then Mike Wallace back in 15th, a couple laps down.
Jason Keller ended up 18th, 2 laps down after running out of fuel. Cost him some ground today.
And Jack Sprague's engine would not live the entire day. He fell out near the end.
And a lot of guys way down after a couple of big accidents, not in terms of violence, but in terms of numbers of cars caught up in a restart accident that put a lot of those guys many laps behind after repairs. How about the championship standings? 5 races to go. Biffle tacking on another 41 points to his lead.
Great battle going for 3rd spot. Just 8 points between Rent Wimmer and Jack Sprague.
NASCAR Busch Series racing at Memphis Motorsports Park, 3/4 mile short track, next Saturday afternoon. And so we turn our attention to tomorrow's NASCAR Winston Cup race, in which this man, Tony Stewart, will lead the field down for the green flag, and we look forward to an exciting race. Thanks for taking the time to be with us today.
My pleasure. I always have fun with you guys up here.
I know you're going to go play with your dirt car later tonight, but then you got to think about the real race tomorrow.
That was pretty good strategy that Jeff Burton talked about. Is he had a car that was very fast, so he worked at putting a bunch of cars a lap down just in case he needed to make a pit stop and change 4 tires with 15, 20 laps to go. He only had to beat 3 or 4 cars. Good
exactly.
strategy.
Very good strategy.
So he could have loafed around out there and had 10 or 12 cars, and the caution comes out, he could have been in trouble. So remember that for tomorrow.
That's why he does so good in the Busch Series. He's really smart.
I recall somebody asking, the Winston Cup Championship leader about that somewhere after that last pit stop and saying, well, I don't know if he's doing that or not. Pretty good strategy, huh?
Yeah, it was good strategy.
There you go. Okay. Now, as far as tomorrow's race, watching what you saw today, you learn anything? Is your crew chief down there poking around your Joe Gibbs teammate, Mike McLaughlin's pit?
I'm looking. I haven't seen him come out of the trailer yet, so I don't know where he's at right now. But I know Benny's, we watched cars go from the bottom of the racetrack all the way up to the wall. I'm still hunting that white line all day tomorrow. I'm going to go up a couple laps for Benny, but I think the biggest thing was, watching the strategy, seeing how Michael Waltrip went on 2 tires. He was basically the only guy that took on 2 today, so seeing the difference between 2 and 4 tires, watching how the racetrack changed as far as cars going from the top of the track to the bottom of the track, and, other than that, it's just a typical Charlotte weekend, I think, so far.
If the gear ratio, if you move up the racetrack, does it turn excessive RPMs quickly?
It does turn more because you're making the racetrack larger. So if your car is balanced well up there, you are going to turn more revs up on the high side versus the bottom side. But, some guys will take that in consideration for tomorrow also.
Noon Eastern time, our coverage starts at tomorrow's Winston Cup race, the UAW GM Quality 500. And up next on TNT, it's the world's most dramatic police chases. Wally had a good run today. Came up with a 7th place finish. A wild afternoon. Number of caution flags. Total of 4 for 18 laps. This scary pit road incident that everyone came out okay in. But in the end, it was a dominant day for Jeff Burton. Led 130 of 200 laps to pick up his 5th victory of the 2002 NASCAR Busch Series season. We'll talk to you tomorrow at noon Eastern on NBC as the race for the Winston Cup title continues.